From gut-wrenching Pueblo, Colorado, it's another thrilling episode of Kerry Fox Live.
We can't take these people seriously, can we? We can't take Berniacs seriously on gun control or on the economy. We can't take them seriously as Democrats. And we cannot take them seriously on their knowledge of current events and history.
Well, let me just say in response to Secretary Clinton, I don't believe that she is qualified.
Oh, no, he didn't say that. And I'm qualified to spot a blowhole. Do I know my blowholes or what? The burn is burning out very soon. The teeny tiny little flicker of light Berniacs see at the end of their whites-only tunnel for a victory by the non-democratic Marxist intruder will be extinguished. Over and out for Bernie. Finally, we'll see the back of this nasty, nasty little man. But when, Kerry? When will Bernie be gone? Keep calm, my friend. Keep calm. It's all over but the burn. Welcome to Kerry Fox Live, a futile attempt to promote truth and common sense in a world gone mad. Just me and my drunken stupor pontificating upon the hypocrisies of our times. A show for liberals, a liberal show. Okay. Well, it should be clear, I think, to intelligent Democrats by now, a distinction I never dreamed I'd have to make until along came Bernie Sanders, but allowing this loser of a candidate to run for president in the Democratic Party was a giant mistake. Because character counts, not the character with the least character. And that's what we're finding out. Bernie Sanders has no character at all. Says one thing, does another, and it's insulting to the senses if you follow along word for word, story for story, event for event inside this Democratic primary this cycle. It's absolutely amazing. If you pay attention to the entire thing, you see one trick after another, one Bernie trick after another, over and over again. We're even seeing him now finagling an audience with the Pope, or at least trying to make it look like the Pope has summoned him to the Vatican. And I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if this has anything to do with it, but a couple of weeks ago, there was a story, a fake story, it turns out, about the Pope endorsing Bernie Sanders. And I wonder if that wasn't some sort of attempt by them just to put that out there, but here he goes. He's going to go to the Vatican, and nobody knows whether he was invited or not. And that brings up a parallel that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. Bernie has never done anything from JFK until today but slam and ridicule and attempt to sabotage the Democratic Party and its candidates. He's been doing it for decades. He's done it locally, statewide, and now he's attempting to do it nationally. The guy leeched off others until his 40s when he finally got elected to something after multiple attempts. He's leeched off others ever since. Now he wants to be a bigger leech. And some people are saying that this...
We have won.
No, you haven't.
7 out of 8 of the recent primaries and caucuses.
Yeah, okay. Every single state with white people and more cattle than people.
And she has been saying lately that she thinks that I am, quote unquote, not qualified to be president.
Well, she hasn't said it, no. But he isn't.
Well, let me just say in response to Secretary Clinton, I don't believe that she is qualified. If she is...
Oh, man. Yes, some people are saying that what you just heard was done to distract everyone from Bernie's disastrous New York Daily News interview, which revealed Bernie's policies, as stated, are a mile wide and about an inch deep. Now, in that interview, aside from the cell line, you discover he knows nothing about what he has been repeatedly yammering about all these months. He knows nothing. Now, if that's the case, if the Bernie campaign decided to make this outrageous, on-its-face claim about Hillary Clinton not being qualified, they did that on purpose to distract from the disastrous New York Daily News interview then Bernie and his longtime money-grubbing henchmen certainly accomplished their mission. Because everyone now is talking about him saying Hillary's not qualified. And it isn't just Bernie who's lying and who's using weaselly arguments to trick people into sending him a portion of their paycheck. No, not at all. No, it's all of his white men advisors and longtime money gatherers manipulating people into sending them a portion of their paycheck. You know, it wasn't all that long ago when more people thought there was something benevolent about Bernie. It seemed as though every young white man in America was on his side. Some people in media even thought of Bernie as a statesman. They thought he was a statesman, or even a potential commander-in-chief. Bernie's fans cheered. Bernie's fans expressed their hopes. And then Bernie spoke.
Huge voter turnouts. And that is how we win, when working people and young people get back in and demand a government that represents all of us, not the 1%. That's how we win.
And then, of course, the horrific bird attack at that rally and the tragic end of the Bernie Sanders campaign. The whole thing left his supporters in a daze and yelling about conspiracies. Subsequent investigation hasn't led to any conspiracies, but the shock of that tragic event still fresh in our minds. And of course, we've all seen the incident either raw or in edited form countless times by now. The videos still trending all over the internet since that terrible day. Oh, the whole thing absolutely horrible. I mean, I have flashbacks. I have nightmares about this because I've seen the video so many times. Horrible, just absolutely horrific. The stampeding crowd, the blood splatters all over everyone, the terrified looks. Here it is in slow motion. As the flock of ruthless sparrows aim themselves for the podium, dive bombing at the candidate's hair, one after the other. Ultimately, he goes down, and then, well, I'm sorry, I can't keep watching. Just the horror of the hair and the feathers, as well as just look at the terrified expressions on the faces of the non-readers holding signs upside down behind the podium where the attack occurred, and the Secret Service absolutely helpless to do anything as the attack continued. Back and to the left, back and to the left, back and to the left. And what happens then? Pandemonium. But enough about that horrific day in the 2016 campaign for president. Let's speak about Bernie's campaign as if it were still alive. Bernie believer and campaign manager Jeff Weaver believes the campaign is still alive, or so he claims. Weaver told CNN's Chris Cuomo this whopper.
The truth of the matter is if you look at the math, if you want to talk about math, the truth is that it is very, very, very unlikely that either candidate, either Secretary Clinton or Senator Sanders, will go into the convention with a majority needed of pledged delegates in order to win.
Oh,
so when we arrive at the convention, it will be an open convention, likely with neither candidate having a majority of pledged delegates.
Believe this.
So I think it'll be an interesting Democratic convention.
And Bernie Sanders campaign manager Jeff Weaver also said this unbelievable shit.
This is what I would say to them, which is, don't destroy the Democratic Party to satisfy the Secretary's ambitions to become President of the United States, right?
Oh.
We want to have a party at the end of this that we can unify. Let's have a tough debate, but let's not, denigrate other people's supporters and tear the party apart.
Senator Sanders' campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, said something very interesting, inflammatory on our air here, saying that, the Clinton campaign, Secretary Clinton, they need to be careful not to destroy the Democratic Party merely in pursuit of her own ambition to be president. Very strong words. Your response to that idea?
I mean, it's just ludicrous on the face of it.
Now that's a Donald Trump supporter type delusion. Either that or the mission is really something else. Maybe the mission is something like money. The reason I mention money is because these three losers Tad Devine, Bernie Sanders, and Jeff Weaver have worked together for nefarious causes before. And the Bernie Sanders campaign is nothing if not nefarious. It's also highly dubious. But then by now, that should be obvious. We've been hearing Bernie complain about money in the process for a year now. At the same time, Bernie and his team brag about how they are out fundraising Hillary's team. But did you know that Bernie and his campaign team spend money almost as fast as it comes in? Did you know that? That's the real reason Bernie's campaign is continuing. It isn't that he thinks he can win. He can't. It's for the weekly salaries and the money that can go to friends and family alike via expenses for goods and services. All of that money courtesy of the people he claims he is trying to help. That's why Bernie wants $27 every week from the paychecks of the working poor. Bernie wants to give them a taste of what's to come if he gets elected. That's fundamental stuff for somebody who remembers the Nixon campaigns and the Nixon administration. There are some scurrilous and otherwise shady characters throughout the GOP. But the problem between me and the Bern is that he can fit right into that group of con artists in the Republican Party. And he can be compared to Nixon and that crew. Bernie already has an H.R. Haldeman, Jeff Weaver, and he also has a John Ehrlichman in Tad Devine. Bernie is Nixon ready. As we're learning from day to day, Bernie is much like Richard Nixon. There's a whole documentary film about it. The film presents video and audio proof that most of what Richard Nixon said was at odds with what most of Richard Nixon said. Tricky Dick almost always said one thing and then did another. Richard Nixon also did one thing while he was already doing another. We've seen that. The more we see Bernie Sanders in action, the more we see that he is using the Nixon playbook, dirty tricks and all. Surround yourself with creepy and paranoid individuals who are willing to say and do anything to keep the gravy train going. The next thing you know, Sam Irwin is giving you the business over your testimony in front of the TV cameras. What Bernie does for the rest of the campaign will determine how much he can succeed at his increasingly apparent goal, the destruction of the Democratic Party. To me, the connection has been made between Bernie and Richard Nixon. They both are evil figures at the opposite end of their words and their stated principles. The only discernible difference between Bernie Sanders and Richard Nixon that I can see is this. Richard Nixon didn't try to destroy the Democratic Party from within.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now.
As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
Her church taught her to do all the good you can, for all the people you can, for as long as you can. After law school, she could have joined a high-priced law firm, but instead, she worked to reform juvenile justice in South Carolina, exposed racism in Alabama schools, registered Latino voters in Texas, and provided legal aid to families in Arkansas. Her life's work has been about breaking barriers, and so would her presidency. Which is why for every American who's not being paid what they're worth, who's held back by student debt or a system tilted against them, and there are far too many of you, she understands that our country can't reach its potential unless we all do. Together, a stronger country.
can hear you cry from behind the door of your troubled mind. You locked yourself inside a lonely prison of your own design. Do you feel the burn? Does it ease the pain when you close your eyes? You give in to your desire, or live inside your tower of endless nights. I will burn it down below. Watch the smoke pour out of my broken heart. Burn it down below. There's no force on earth can keep us apart. Take my hand, I'll lead the way through the darkest parts of these castle halls. No more masquerade. We'll fight ghosts and demons and we'll breach these walls. I know you're still afraid. I'll guide you through these crumbling spires, trusting me to light our way with these glowing flames that
Bernie Sanders could somehow win the Democratic nomination and could somehow win the general election, it would be a disastrous 4 years, followed by at least 8 years of right-wing Republican rule. That's 12 years of George W. Bush-like disaster. That's an Irwin Allen double-feature film in slow motion and a cheap series of sequels.
Now, you know there's no sure way for us to fight a fire in anything over the 7th floor. But you guys just keep building them as high as you can.
Why are you being such a hater, Kerry? Why do you do this? For the sake of clarity, allow me to explain. There isn't a whole lot that hardcore Bernie supporters shouldn't know about their own candidate by now. But they still don't. They don't want to. They aren't any different from teabaggers in that respect. My guess is that many Bernie supporters don't investigate their own candidate because they just can't believe that a fragile and elderly old man who wants to give everyone free health care could possibly be a nasty and lazy deadbeat. But Bernie is just what a nasty and lazy deadbeat looks like when they get old. That's all. It happens. Just as good people can die young, terrible people like Bernie Sanders can get old. Anyone who actually researches Bernie's history will see that he was a lazy deadbeat when he was young. He was a lazy deadbeat the whole time before any of his supporters knew who the hell he was last year. And he is still the same lazy deadbeat he has always been while he's a candidate for president of the United States. He's just old. Bernie bros, Bernie or bust, Bernie acts, Bernie bots. This guy is going to cling to every last second and every last nickel of this loot-generating campaign that simply will not go away. Bernie Sanders has attached himself like a barnacle to the Democratic Party, and it's obvious we'll have to pry him loose from the ship before he and his ragtag band of miscreants sinks us all. And if you refuse to read about him or anything else, then shut the fuck up. Your ignorant bullshit could get us all killed. Check out the show on YouTube and watch the whole thing with one click. Just one click. You don't even have to think. You just click the button. That's it. You also are required to subscribe to the show at YouTube as well. We insist that you do that. Thank you in advance. We're on Facebook, and if you haven't already liked the page, you must do so right away. That's also required. Follow the news feed on Twitter and stay abreast of current and political news with me. And check out our home on the internet, KerryFoxLive.com. Our entire show archive is at that site. Peruse the brilliance of the show archive at KerryFoxLive.com and bookmark this excellent and very important site. Once again, thank you for listening to me spew as I do. Until next time, this is Kerry Fox saying,
I am not qualified to be president.
The Republican Party is cracking up right in front of our eyes. Why would the Democrats nominate someone who's not even a Democrat? And we have a chance to accomplish things that we only dreamed of in terms of health care, in terms of financial regulation, in terms of climate, in terms of economic growth, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of defeating ISIS. I think we're on the precipice of really doing great things, and I don't really understand why don't we just go out and do them.